Right, we're here. Oh, it's actually the camera up there. We don't have to look at the camera. It's going to be weird. Yeah. Right, we're here for Snake and Banter, special live edition in the sense that we recorded it in a hotel room. It's just because we've taped a webcam to the actual lamp that it's weird and skewed. Like we're doing the blast angle where Vu looks incredibly tall, even though by the way we're all sat quite equally, and then Maui's right at the end, like he's all in the corner over there. So also, hopefully, we have never done this before. We don't know if these mics will be excellent, so we'll hope the quality is just legible. You can hear it, it's all good. And we will obviously get straight into it. So we're only on this one, we're going to make it a shorter episode. We're just going to do one good, one bad, and one ugly. We took one each. So we'll obviously start with the good. That was you, right, Barry?
Yes, I got it. Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that after they win a grand finals with a brand new roster, that I will be saying MOUZ are indeed my good point. But further than MOUZ, I'm actually going to specify sycrone. I think this guy is a miracle worker. I had him as my number one coach of the year last year. People were saying, how could you not put xTaz? Obviously, yes, xTaz won a lot. That looked more like an Apex effort to me and Rops' impact to me. Whereas sycrone, I was just saying, with Brolin, really? Come on. The guy was barely even talking in the comms videos for them. Yeah. And xertioN was really the secret hidden caller all along. And yeah, obviously xertioN winning his first trophy as an in-game leader. I just also think that when it comes to sycrone, and the reason I praise him so much is that Vu and I would constantly discuss on the desk how we think a team should game plan versus another team because we see their weaknesses. We're watching all these matches for them. And I'll say this, Spirit did not properly identify what MOUZ's weaknesses were going into that game. So clearly they should be watching more of the desk. Also, sycrone clearly is watching the desk because he knows what his team's weaknesses are.
Okay.
I think his oversight for the team and having really practical solutions and game plans is really second to only a very few coaches. I just say tied. I think he's just in the S tier for me as a coach.
The funny thing is even actually the game where I think Astralis had a better game plan than MOUZ in theory, I actually look back at it and it's like, MOUZ had a clear opening in the way that they were playing on Ancient, but they actually covered that up. It's just that they failed. Like the players, I think Torji was right afterwards, that he was in positions he was almost never in to deal with Astralis when they were going for a game plan to attack the A site. He was there several times. He just fucking missed. He just wasn't having it. And then you go into the final. I think they were better. I think they had a better game plan for all, but maybe you could argue about Ancient. I think the other three maps, it was pretty clear.
Ancient, they had those two T-side rounds where they just were running through smokes.
Yeah. But I think when you, like, even Magic's, in the post-game interview, he almost, to me, okay, this is some armchair psychology shit.
Come on.
To me, it seemed like Banks asked him, like, why did you take so long to go B on Dust 2? Their B sucks. And he almost seemed like he was like annoyed, like, yeah, why didn't we go B? Like, why wasn't that? That's kind of again. You can listen to the interview and make of that.
Some contrast to Wally here.
Yeah, it feels like he was like, yeah, you're right.
And Vu brings that up obviously though because if people weren't really paying attention to this, the Spinks PR defense was porous. It was not a great two-man combo between them on the CT side for MOUZ's Dust 2.
And the thing about that too is that before the game, sycrone says. I think we have actually a pretty good like strategic approach to Dust 2, but we're just not confident. If you look at their Dust 2, they play like kind of like how FaZe play. They try and fight in mid. And in order to fix that, like xertioN does not go CT. So you look like Magix is in CT all the time. So you're helping the B player. They don't have a player CT. They're just saying our B players are better, but they're not. So like in order to fix that, you have to actually go back to the drawing board. You have to actually have a completely different macro approach to the game. You're not doing that mid-tournament, so I'm not going to blame him for that, even though it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. I agree with sycrone as like I think I might have voted him second last year, but he's definitely one of the best coaches out there. I don't even think that's debatable. Torji, I don't know what the fuck they're feeding this guy. That was like, he suddenly realized, hey, I can actually take over a game. Like, wild. Up until they're about to win. And then he just chokes.
That was the sad part.
But like, MOUZ have to be a good point, even if they're not probably going to win another turn.
No. By the way, I'm with you. I actually think the sycrone point, because of this result, is stronger than just MOUZ in general, because they already had good players in the past. But I'm with you. If you think about it, right, we've actually all done that thing where we all only looked at the IGLs. We all contrasted Shu here with Brolan. It's none of them now. Like, they actually are still good, and the players function. In fact, I'll add it in. Remember when they had Dexter? They were like in the IM Dallas finals. That means with 4 different IGLs, he's made a functional team with like only like 1 or 2 players overlap across all teams. That's like 4 years.
They beat at IEM Rio with Dexter IGL. They beat Gambit quarterfinals. Like they didn't have better players than Gambit in Rio quarterfinals. That was the Axile, Shiro, Nafany, Hobbit lineup.
Right.
That's just way more firepower.
So to me, I actually do. I'm with you guys. Like whenever, because one thing we always get mad at on Hot Take Point Made is even though Kassad himself was a coach, he often will judge a coach or an IGL like what trophies did they win. It's like, bro, they have like Monacy and fucking Ziwu and like what do you have? Like your best players, what Spinks? Like again, xertioN, like I agree with you guys. In the same way as people give Mara and Blade credit because they have like lesser players and they come. Surely sycrone's cooking and his players, by the way, none of except for Spinks, who was basically kicked out of Vitality. None of these are like famous names you get after they're good. Yeah. He took them all from the academy. Even PR used to be his old academy player. Like this is outrageous. You had Zelix, by the way, is 17 years old. And I'll give you an angle. Here's why I actually do think that sycrone is cooked. Because I was joking on all my core streams that because xertioN actually does an even worse version of the Twist Liquid God Emperor, where he like IGLs, but still does all his own spots, calls to it around himself. Like he takes like flanks and calls it stay until I'm ready, like some mad abusive shit. My joke was, this is how sycrone's cooked. Because I think what happens is when you're like a star entry rifler type guy, all of them that are really good all think that it's like a pog and it's like, it'd be better if I was the IGL. Because if I was the IGL, I could just call the second I get the kill. Like, come now, like attack. And I actually think that what sycrone did, you know, from the outside, the roles don't make sense. You basically recruit like the same guy 3 times. You've got Zelix, you've got xertioN, and you've got PR, but it's like they should probably all be in whatever xertioN's position is, right? To be like the star rifler. Like, here's where I think he's cooked. One, that actually means you don't have to IGL that much. Because if you think about it, right, they all want to make players anyway and go in anyway. You're not like having to coordinate all that. They're all just people that want to attack. And what you're saying about the style is true. Bro, the style they play wasn't up-tempo. On T-side, they play like really slow. Like you're saying, like they find like a leverage point and then they just go though. They have like a go button and then they all rush in like you said on Dust 2. They just send like 4 people out mid and just fight everyone, just take all mad duels. And that, not only did that work, but I'll give you the angle for the Torji one. Bro, if you're Torji now, aren't you just living the dream? He was never like set up to be an op. He just sits behind people and picks people off. Yeah. He's just got all these aggressive rifles running out and he's just taking duel, picking people off. Like, because actually almost basically everyone except PR looked good in this event. He's about the only one I think I'm not that good. And by the way, this is probably the best that Spinks has played. Someone said the stat is since like Vitality won the Paris Major or something outrageous. Like he was mega in that final. Also seems like that's the craziest thing. For the first real event, what's the odds you'd like get most out of all the players? You'd think like one player would be good, but maybe like Zelix is 17, so he won't be good, or PR, he'll struggle. I'm with you. I actually think this guy cooked here. Like I'd give him most credit. Spinks as well for the performance. Torji was, by the way, about to win the MVP.
Yeah.
He should have.
I think he should have.
When we do that discussion, who are the best ARPers, Torji doesn't even get that like guaranteed 5th spot anymore. That goes to like, Mordor, wonderful. People had forgotten Torji because he was down. You remember, he was only ever like a 1.05 rating player or something, wasn't he? So he was about to win before. People don't know, before this final, I think he was on like a 1.3 rating or something absurd. He was going to win MVP.
1.34 or something like that. Yeah,
maybe he was killing it.
Yeah.
So again, do we really believe xertioN just got a brand new set of players and just went, I don't know that he did. I think sycrone cooked. I think I'm with you.
Yeah.
The crazy thing about Torji is like, they could have lost to 3D Max without Torji. It's not like he just had a good game. He actually just became a different person. Like capable of just saying, fuck it, I'm taking my shot. I'm winning us this game.
The 3D, I mean, that's why I feel like the MVP discussion it's so muddied. And I think the weight that they give to grand finals is also so tricky because if you had 5 Spinxes in the 3D Max game, you don't even make it through the quarterfinals. Sure. He was really bad on map 3. I think he was pretty bad on map 2 as well. Torzy was the most consistent player across all of what happened at LAN. Like, I don't even know if there was a single game where he had beneath like a gray rating or something like that. Like he had some, meddling performances, but Spinks actually had legitimately bad games. He was really hurting them on their Dust 2, especially. And it was people like Torzy that had to bail them out. Like if people go back and watch that Torzy and Spinks 2v4 that they had against 3D Max in those multiple overtimes, Torzy gets that triple spray down because Spinks I think Torzy had to plant the bomb, and as he's like setting it down and then getting a better spot, Spinks is all the way back in. He moved through hut all the way through lobby to almost T spawn, and it was like he was trying to catch if somebody was going for a ramp flank instead of staying where I'd say 90% of people do. You either go around door or you go just in hut and you just accept your fate that, yes, if a guy comes ramp, I will have to take a 50-50 fight. But Spinks always wants that slightly better position. And it put Torzy in a horrible position that he had to get a 3K. And if he doesn't get that 3K, the series is over.
Dude, Apex is at home sending that to everyone on Vitality.
Sure.
That's in the group chat.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
like, just look at this. Look at this.
It's ridiculous. It was ridiculous. I couldn't believe Spinks. When Spinks was walking away, I actually was screaming in the green room, like, where the fuck are you going? Like, where is he going? He just decides to walk off sometimes.
Here's also why I want to connect to the beginning, though, and what he said at the end. So at the beginning, you said he worked a miracle. And then at the end, after all that hype, you were like, not that the winner of the tournament, I'm going to bitch for you here, I don't care. I do think that was a miracle. I don't know how they did this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't think they win another tournament. I don't even think they're top 5. I think they'll be like 10th best team or something like. There's so many things can go wrong with this team. Let's be real, because this is true as well. Forget the final. They looked awesome in the final. Bro, they almost lost 2-0 to Astralis.
Yeah.
It was sauce on that game against 3D Max. You guys are talking about. And they were playing, you should see the people they played. They played like Nuclear Tigress, fucking, who was the one at Focus without some of the good players that left.
Yeah,
Bro, they were playing nobody. True, they beat Spirit. The Spirit made them look awesome, by the way. But yeah, they looked great in the final. So I'm going to be a hater and also agree. I don't think they win anything else. I think this is like Paravision wins Blast Out. It's like, you're not getting out after this, mate. It's over for you.
It's really hard to imagine that MOUZ keep it up, but I still am just going to give props to sycrone because I don't think other coaches would have won this series for Spirit.
And like I say, I think in history, if you look back, you'll see the roster is all good players. But again, I'm not being a pure role cell, but how do those roles work, man? Haven't you basically taken like PR and said you get to join, but you're on some like gimped, you're just doing it in the corner there. Zelex, you don't even get to be the star like you were in the academy. I don't know what you're doing.
They also have PR where it's just like, yeah, you're just going to be bad on half the match.
Yeah,
so
he was.
Yeah.
It's why I even said, even though they wouldn't the final comfortably, by the way, even the map they lost, they were in. I actually don't think you can look at PR and go, you played great. So if you were there, you were there, bro.
He had 2 good maps on the Grand. The first 2 were surprisingly good. I was surprised at how well he played on most of Dust 2, but then once they actually started doing real B hits on him and Spinks, they just fell apart.
I think he's just a rotator player. He just, especially, not only are they putting in anchor spots, it's like you can have an anchor like Zway on Paravision to some extent. They bring second player there. They bring an offer there a lot. They give him a lot of resources so he can take duels.
Mm-hmm.
Same with like Heavy God sometimes. He can take a duel because he knows on the round he's not taking a duel. He can play. He has a teammate there to like cover up. When you see the way PR is playing, it's like you can't take duels. If you're taking a duel, you have to win. You must win this duel. You are the only defender of this position. It's just so antithetical to what a rookie player is supposed to play like.
Yeah. And lastly, if we're all going to say when Spirit wins, like it's Hallie's, then I agree. If you contrast them against each other, Hallie's got the Lamborghini. In this case, it's like you beat him in like a Ford or something. Isn't it? It's outrageous. So, no, I agree. It's a good angle. Anyway, obviously, MOUZ was eating good in that final, weren't they? Not that I know that'll fill them up for very long, but they need, you see, is fuel. If they have fuel, you've got to understand food. Then that is a complete meal. That's not just a snack or something that you have, for example, like a shake that you have with food. You have it as a meal. I've had that myself. I did it instead of lunch one time. It did last me 3 or 4 hours when I was doing some shows. That's because in the bottle, it's got 35 grams of protein, 7 grams of fiber. And it's under $5 a meal. In the Black Edition powder, which you just shake with water or milk for 30 seconds, that has 40 grams of powder. It has 27 essential vitamins and minerals, no artificial sweeteners, colors, or flavors. And you can get 15% off online if you're a new customer. So how do you do that? You ask. Well, I'm glad you did. That made the next part quite easy to say because limited time offer. Make healthy eating simple. Get Huel, spelled Huhuel, today with my exclusive offer of 15% off online with my code LFN at huel.com/LFN. New customers only. Thank you to Huel for partnering and supporting our show.
Quick testimony on this. First of all, strawberry banana, probably the best flavor. I tried them all at this point. The coffee one's nice also because I think it has 90 milligrams of caffeine too. So that's nice. I can just have that instead of having that and another drink. And legitimately, my girlfriend Rebecca, when she was having it, it's something about her. She's like, I feel way more energetic because I think she was getting some minerals that she wasn't always getting in like a normal breakfast diet. And she actually thought it was easier to like wake up or just stay sort of like on a certain level of activity after it, just like doing stuff like whatever sort of even physical activity she was doing felt better on Huel than sometimes even real food did.
Okay.
Or other food. It's real. It's real.
Okay. Shout out System of a Down one time. Wake up. Maui's girlfriend didn't get the breakfast take up. So that, not bad. Old album. Anyway, let's do a poly market because there's a poly market that's quite relevant actually. 9Z, the one who won that XSE Guangzhou or whatever it was called, when they played against Paravision, the one that FaZe came third at. There's a poly market that says before September, so there's less than a month left, will 9Z make a roster change? Now, this has been all over the place. At one point in time, it was as high as 40%. Right now, it is at 39%. So at the moment, the traders say it won't happen. Remember, in the off-season, the rumour was, because of the major, they just get Mayan, who's been struggling, and they kick him out, and they were going to try and get Try, because obviously it's Argentinians and South America. That didn't happen. Apparently, Try's like going to some other team or whatever.
He's on Imperial.
Yeah, Imperial there. And it's implied maybe he'll sign somewhere else. Who knows which team that would be. Right, the two-part question here is, one, will they make the roster move? And which of those two would you pick? Would you pick yes or no?
I would probably go with, I mean, September's coming up pretty quick. If they're not going to make a move in the offseason, do they have a player that must go that badly? Before September, so this month, I'd go with no.
They just won. They're not going to move anyone around right now. I don't even know how it's 39% right now. It feels like also the public sentiment from that region is very much so, hey, keep him on. He just won. Why would you want to kick him, etc.? So I just don't think that anybody over there is looking to make a change if you don't have to, especially with the new economics of Counter-Strike and the stickers being less valuable. You don't really always have the funds now to just make some big splash.
Yes. No, I think for all the above reasons, because first of all, I actually think there's a world. I can see why the rumor was because of the major, because the main guy had really bad stats. Well, if Try's Argentinian and we've got Lushov, just get Try in. First of all, if that deal didn't happen, there's no obvious player like we're saying. Who do you sign aside from that? Because I assume their team that's speaking Spanish, aren't they? And then the other thing is, it's not only doing the top 8 run at the major, they then also won this XSE tournament. If anything, I'm watching this, by the way. If I'm 9Z going, wait a minute, I was ahead of that FaZe team. Maybe actually the team's already good. Yeah. I also think when you're an underdog, generally, we're thinking of like good teams that do the cynical upgrade. If you're an underdog, you just believe in each other and you go, hey, we did good at the major. We won this small round. We're going to do it this season. And also VRS, the way it works, like people are just going to stick with the same players. So no, I'm with you. I'm going with no on that one. I think that's an easy one to go with. Okay, so let's go to
the bad.
Who was the bad? You?
Yeah.
What are you taking?
Okay, for my bad point, I know this one's out of left field.
Fuck it all.
Who could have predicted? You can take this either way. It's Spirit. It's Donk. It's Donk. 6 of the last 7 maps, I think he was below 1.0 KD.
Yeah.
The problem is that the bad point is that he pretty much, I think, takes himself out of the number 1 race. Like if he ever had a chance, he certainly needed to win the MVP here. Not only that, but like when I watch Spirit, since they had Sotfic for a while, one of the takes I've had that I think people are gonna hate me for this one, but I actually think Donk's underperformances have become less acceptable because when you look at like Astana, he had Astana. He had like the most flashed enemies killed by a long shot, by like 30%. I was just eyeballing a graph with no numbers. Like 30%.
Yeah.
And he still gets, they throw a lot more utility. They set him up more than they ever have. Like you go back to 20, like even his Katowice run, like he was set up decently and he was set up in more than haters of Spirit would say he was set up. But at the same time, he was set up nowhere near as much as people pretend.
Yes.
He would just straight up win an insane amount of duels. Mm-hmm. And so to see him now set up more than he's ever been set up before and still have bad performances, I blame especially Mirage on CD side. They have not evolved at all forever. Like maybe they throw a bit more utility, but like to see him have bad performances now, I blame the losses on him a lot more than I ever have in the past, just because they have focused in so much on him performing well, and he's having more and more bad games. And the problem is he's not supposed to be as good as he is. I predicted when he first came in, I was like, he's not going to do this for more than
how could anyone?
Months. So we've almost got this unrealistic expectation, but at the same time, if there's ever a time to blame Donk for bad performances, it's now.
This would definitely be the tournament where you could say he didn't deliver for them, given the reasons that you said. I don't think their flashes are as good, though, at this event as they were at Astana and Rio. That was where they were just taking off like crazy, where the flash assist numbers were legitimately better than Vitality 2025 numbers. I think they were even better than Prime Astralis numbers. It was just obviously a short amount of matches, and teams hadn't really studied them yet. But they still are throwing pretty good ones. There were moments in this grand final, in this tournament, where I would see Donk take fights, 100%, would expect him to win them, doesn't do it. I think prime example was probably ancient CT side pistol round where MOUZ are running at him through a smoke and he has a USP. They kind of get stuck on the smoke. Usually you would see Donk just clean this up. You'd get 3 kills or something. He didn't get a single one. He used all 12 bullets, no kills whatsoever. That's completely unlike him. You still can see how snappy his aim can be in those moments, which is why he's still able to find ridiculous frags. But it's just not nearly as consistent as it was prior to the Cologne Major, where he just felt like he was the clear best player in the world, but maybe wouldn't be the number one player because of the lack of team success and some kind of less stellar playoff results, which are now weirdly becoming a little bit more of a trend than I would want it to be for, because I think that you take any player in a group stage, Donk, ZywOo, m0NESY, I'm taking Donk. If I could just build a team tomorrow and I have to get one of those guys on my team, who's going to carry me through a group stage? It's easily Donk. I don't think I even have to come up with a crazy plan. You could support him with any assembly of players at all. Like, who doesn't want to just bait? Who doesn't want to bait somebody that can do stuff like that? You just need to give him the most bare minimum setup. Sometimes you want to run in for him too, so he can trade frag you. But I think he's just the easiest person to use as a tool. And if he's not going to provide for Spirit, then I agree also that his number one chances are very slim now. Like, they have to clean up in a way that, based off of how they played at this tournament, Spirit, I see to be extremely unlikely. I think though the light at the end of the tunnel for me, or the saving grace, or the alternative option, is I do actually want to see Sotfik in the coaching spot, because they just did play differently. They had such a greater focus on team play and flashes that were so much more on the fly. And I don't know how Sotfik necessarily set that up, because I think the execs look pretty similar with Holly and Sotfik, but just that if I see two guys running in for Spirit, I just always saw a flash popping right above and behind their heads in those tournaments where they were coached by him.
To support your point real quick, is I think it might have been in the interviews we had with Spirit in the media day, where they were talking about Sotfik versus Holly, and they were saying Sotfik's focused on the micro and like things like utility usage. I mean, the players see this as well. They just think that like they have Sotfik in the background now, like as a second coach, but it's definitely something the players have also talked about.
By the way, that's even one area where, look, I get that you can change your mind, or who knows what was going on with Hallie when he was in hospital. I even think, I'm going to go and double check this later as a fact check, I even think the CEO guy said just before the major, the Spirit CEO said something like, oh, actually, now we're going to add, because remember, Sotfik was the academy coach. I am sure he said, we're going to add him and we're going to like make both work or something. Like he's going to be like the assistant. I think he implied, and so he'll work on, but he'll stand behind the team, which he didn't do at this event, by the way. And it was Hallie who was stood behind him instead. And it was almost implied, like Hallie will be like the head coach and do the, I don't know, practice and big picture things, I guess. And that it sounded like he was trying to give you the best of both. It doesn't look like they've done that. It looks like they've just gone back to Hallie, and it's even implied in that Magic that I did. They've even gone back to some of the things with like how to nair players and whatever Hallie's system is. So I have to say that is one area, because let's make this about Donk. I actually think this is why I'm going to be, in the future, if this continues, I'm going to be even saltier about 2025, because my joke is, he not only got robbed of like number one, I think that was like the best year any player's ever played in the history of Counter-Strike, and he was number two because we give it based on MVPs. Winning so the reason why it's bad though is because your corp last year was Donk, innit? He'll do this for like 6 straight years, eventually he will drop off and then he'll just be Mate, it's like you said, isn't the whole reason we think he's the GOAT after 2 years that it's impossible to play this style and to be an entry fragger and have an AK? And like you say, even though there are certain tournaments where they're definitely setting him up, there are some where he just fucking goes in broad and shoots 2 people in the head with an AK. Like, no flash makes that happen. Yeah. No, that's not a strat. That's just Donk.
I mean, especially CT sides.
Definitely. And so my problem is, I'll go further. Think of this year. Right? This year, earlier on, when they weren't so good, he actually had the odd tournament. I forget which one it was. Was it Rotterdam or something? He had one tournament where they just lost 0-2 and he had like really bad stats. Yeah. Then also, people forget this, in Rio, that was the one where they made the final and he was just bad against Vitality. It was actually Taner that did well there. Then he was obviously great at Astana, that's good. At the major, people are going to forget this. He was ass against Falcons, bro. He did nothing. So he's had and then you add this here on the online portion and against Liquid, he was farming. It was all that, will he break the greatest record? But that sounds bad at the end of the tournament because he was below these other fucking guys. So I'm going to say, this is like a track record. Like, the difference is, if you remember his first year, I think he had like it was like Cologne. He had one bad tournament. Everything else was insane. 2025, let's say, I don't know, two
Cologne, I think he had back-to-back bad tournaments when SnapTap was allowed.
Yeah,
it was literally the two tournaments.
So the difference is, a bad...
It was EWC and it was Cologne, and he lost to, I think there were four people on G2. I think actually maybe all 5 were using SnapTap, and on Mongols there were 3 people using SnapTap, and that's one of his worst events ever. EWC, I think he played another team that had SnapTap also. Like those were literally his worst tournaments. And some people are saying they weren't always all using SnapTap, but if some of them were using SnapTap on the teams.
But add all that up. If in your first year you had like 2 times, and then let's say you had 3 last year, but he's already had like 4 or something this year. Like, it actually looks. It's why, in a weird way, I agree with you. This has to be like, how could you really expect someone to do that just for every year of their career? If, by the way, in that case, he was just the GOAT the whole time. Like, he's just like by far the best player to ever play. I don't even think that role that you play can ever be the GOAT. That's why, genuinely, I used to say, I can hear every argument of Zero and watch him win. I can watch Monacy and go, it's amazing. I can think of what Simple was. But every time I actually used to watch Donk last year, I used to be, that's the best player ever. Like, that's too good. No one can do that with an AK.
I mean,
and probably even he can't now.
Name how many top 10 players are entries. It's like
0 in it.
Almost, yeah, it's really
maybe Flames at the beginning of the year. It's about it.
In like the history of Counter-Strike.
Oh, sure.
History, like never happened.
It's
never ever happened. So to see him even be neck and neck with Zywoo, but then we got spoiled. Like
we did. We're actually so entitled. We're like, nah, he's dropping off in E. Why isn't he just why not 1.4 every rating Donk? I know it's mental. And also, I'll throw one last thing in there in that sense, because that's the other thing I do wonder about going forwards. Mate, he actually was a mad tilted on the player cam in these matches, and people forget this. Yeah. He was the reason why they were going to lose to FaZe. When they were down on, like, even on Anubis, he was shit in the bed, right? And actually, this just shows why he is necessary in their team. At the end of the tournament, people are like, wow, they won without him though. At the end, right, he actually does all those like connector kills in a row at the end of Anubis. That just gets them every round. And that's why they need him. If he actually doesn't do it, by the way, that's why if you are Magic, you're all frauds, bro. This is worse than the fucking MOUZ one. You could probably put anyone there and they'd have a chance. Yeah. So I'm with you. 1, we are entitled, but 2, you've spoiled us, sir. I want more. I want that every tournament.
He's made that the new normal.
I know, because here's the scary thing. Every other year, if he fell off, I was like, fuck him, just wait. Give him the next tournament to be back. I'm low-key scared he has like an average tournament next. And what do we even do then, by the way?
Falcons win every tournament.
That's the dream. That's the dream, isn't it?
That's my prediction. Yeah. That's my prediction. They're going to be the best this season.
Okay, well, here's the thing. Donk, as soon as you hear that voice, you know what's coming. Donk's obviously lost a lot of the weight that his name carried. But you know what? If in real life you wanted to lose some weight, one of the ways you could do it, because obviously that's a challenge for people, isn't it? How do you do it? The gym, you're figuring out your diet, you're trying to change up your lifestyle. There's not always the options that you want. Well, actually, with Hims Wegovy, they have a new way and affordable range of FDA-approved GLP-1 medications. So you can skip the guesswork and try this weight loss system, including the Wegovy and the Wegovy pill and the Wegovy pen, plus the support to actually stick with it. Because with Wegovy at Hims, you can lose up to 20% of your body weight combined with diet and exercise. It helps regulate your appetite. You eat less and you can keep weight off. Plus, it is the first ever GLP-1 pill for weight loss, so there are no needles. On the other ones, you actually inject something. This is just a pill that you take. It all happens online. You connect with a licensed provider who will determine if the treatment is right for you, and then if they prescribe it to you, they just deliver the medication to your door. No insurance necessary. And they also have extra things to help you hit your goals in a seamless fashion, like you have access to 24/7 messaging with a care team. There's in-app lifestyle and nutrition support. You have like recipes, meal plans, fitness videos, sleep content, and more. And also, with a range of GLP-1 options that are affordable, they make it simple to find a weight loss approach that fits into your world and your wallet, if eligible. You'll get a treatment plan personalized to you and unlimited dosage changes as needed. So, reach your goals, ready to? Well, visit hims.com/snakebanter, all one word, to get a personalized, affordable plan that gets you. That's hims.com/snakebanter, hims.com/snakebanter. Weight loss by Hims is not available in all 50 states. Wegovy is the registered trademark of Novo Nordisk A/S. To get started and learn more, including important safety information, Wegovy, clinical study information, and restrictions, visit hims.com. Okay, thank you, Hims. Right, we'll now do... I've got another play market for you, actually. This one is going to be relevant because this is going to be for my topic. So, this one was mad earlier because the top play market is, will FaZe win a tier 1 event in 2026? Now, what's mad about this one is it's only at 17%. The highest it's ever gone was probably like a few days ago, where it went to 30, unsurprisingly, just before the event, because people thought, you look at the line, it was just Spirit, everyone else is like,
was that when they were ahead against Spirit?
That was just before they played that one. Yeah. But yeah, basically, that's as high as it's been. It's also been as low as 11% before, when it was like, back in May and June, where everyone thought, they're abandoned, nothing's going to happen without Carrigan. So the question, as usual, is, will they win one? And would you take yes or no when it's at 17%?
I think I give them like 10 to 15%. I don't think they're going to win any tournament where there's a top 5 team at it. So I really have to look at the schedule. Like, are there any tournaments where they're going to have like even this week of a field? Like,
I believe that it was said by, the Jesper Unkund. I believe he said this performance did get them like some invite to another tournament or something like that. You just made them make the cut or something.
So ESL Pro League is a very likely invite for them.
Right.
There was one more that I said today on broadcast. I mean, it was also the Thunderpick World Championship. If a couple team, I think like a team or two has to not do it, and I think that's very likely for that kind of tournament. Like, I don't think Falcons is going to go to that, for example. So there's a high. I'd say a Thunderpick World Championship is the most likely tournament because that's probably going to end up being the more like tier 1.5, which would still satisfy the sort of market prediction. Those guys, that's really what you're banking on.
Yeah.
If you think that they can win a Thunderpick World Championship, it's almost just as soon as you see the invites and who's accepted that's when you should basically be considering this the strongest, because I don't think they're going to win EPL. There's just too many teams. It's too likely that somebody else just takes it. I mean, when you're playing against the field there's really no value. But Thunderpick is just usually like a slightly more abridged format, usually just slightly weaker teams. And FaZe right now for this kind of tournament, I'm not going to say they're definitively the best of the rest, but they're actually kind of approaching that point.
Well, this is going to lead into my point, because I'm going to say no, even though they would probably be, if I took it, great value in that if they do win. I just don't think they will. And here's the reason why. My ugly point is going to be FaZe, because here's my ugly point. After now seeing the whole tournament, actually, I would argue FaZe was the second best team at this tournament after MOUZ. By the way, ahead of Team Spirit. Like, when I watched that game, remember, the J Bourne guys never played anyone at that level before on a LAN in like a real studio. The Nephew guy used to play on ENCE, which was like at the fucking Elisa thing 2 years ago. And he's technically, by the way, standard. He's not even like a signed player. I think if you look at all those factors, I don't think anyone actually had bigger. They've got a new coach as well, who's presumably working on things. Twisters, there's a million factors. But I tell you what, the joke is they actually could have won this tournament. Like, I actually thought for real, they should have won that Anubis. They were in a really good position.
10-5 up.
They fucking won the cash as well against Spirit, by the way. The Nephew got that awesome deal. I actually think if you watch this tournament, like, this is why it's a bomber. It's going to be my ugly. I actually think only with the second best team here, they could have won this LAN, but this was probably the best chance now. Now you look back, because remember, coming into the LAN, everyone said, Spirit's the most likely. And you thought, who knows about MOUZ? Liquid's maybe in the next. But actually, I have to say, FaZe did about all you could ask them to do. But they're all pretty good generally. Maybe Frozen could play a bit better.
Yeah, I mean, Jacob was entry. I think it was like 7-2 against Donk at some point on Anubis.
He's doing well, yeah.
Actually, dumpstering Donk.
People were actually saying he's the counter to Donk. Like, get me out. Get me out.
The Polish Nico.
I mean, FaZe was good. I think. I thought initially before they played Spirit, I was thinking like they would have had maybe a chance against MOUZ, but I thought they would just get rolled over by Spirit with Donk. But Donk was playing kind of shit. And to be honest, they should have won that Anubis.
Yeah.
But it comes down to that game specifically, Natu, he just has 2 or 3 times a game. He'll just make a really unforgivable mistake.
Yes.
Like, he will just throw around. And then this tournament, he was having the pop-off moments to make up for that.
Yeah.
But generally, most games he doesn't seem to have, like most tournaments, he doesn't seem to have these pop-off moments. Like, you're going to lose me 2 rounds, win me at least a couple rounds. He doesn't usually have
here's this problem. He also had a game, it might even have been in that series or the other one. I remember he had one game where at one point he just had like 4 kills when everyone else had like 17. So the problem is he doesn't like frag well. He's also in all the shit roles, by the way. But you're right. The problem is he'll win like a clutch though. So you remember the clutch? Like, I remember a NetU clutch. Some fucking Reddit copy pasta in it. But I agree. It's a tap. What do you think? Can they win a tournament? Are they ugly?
I mean, I would say that the Jay Bowen is at least a prospect.
Yeah.
I would just put that out there. I don't know what I think of Natu. I think there might be a better anchor on the market. I think the Cash moment is going to be seared in my brain. But and actually, he had some good Dust 2 defenses versus Spirit, which was surprising.
I mean, I'll give you one. Look, no one knows because sadly, the worst thing about Twitter at the moment is all those like gambling skin sites just do that thing where their social media is just live. They just make up. So I saw there was a tweet where they were claiming that's where GL's going. Like maybe he's going to join. Maybe he's going to join us in it. So, look, if that was true, it'd be interesting. I might just be completely lies, unfortunately. Who knows about that?
I guess for the poly market side of it, circling back to that, I guess if it were a JL, actually, that would give them a much better chance.
Yeah,
it would. That's kind of where you're, because actually, just to feed into that, I mean, Natu doesn't have a, it's like some weird thing of like a loan kind of where he's benched on ends actually, and so I mean, FaZe would be an organization of the stature that would actually probably net somebody like JL. So you kind of have to put 2 and 2 together to think they have a better chance, because then if they have a JL for Natu, then that's kind of like that's actually a team that I could think could win a Thunderpick World Championship. That's kind of the tournament where Frozen Twist JL. Why wouldn't you? You
also, my joke, the obvious one is when JL joins, he'll be get there like, "Where's Carrigan?" and he'll mean it. Like, "Oh, we're gonna win the major or something." Like, "Oh, you left, bro." Like, "What the? I was only out of the game."
Oh, I'm a big fan of Brokey.
I know.
Okay, let me be a role cell here for a second.
Exactly. Where my boy Brokey at? Fucking like Baltic states rise up.
I think JL has watched Brokey for long enough to know that.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. Because it's true, the Jay Bowen guy's good, isn't he?
No, Jay Bowen's nice. I like him.
I'm going to be a role cell for a second. If you think that PR doesn't get a chance because Sphinx isn't helping him on Dust 2, watch FaZe on Dust 2. Yeah. Netu he's abandoned even more.
Okay.
Even more than PR is. And he's still, like, you don't see teams attack B on Dust 2 against FaZe the same way they do against
No, he actually did a decent job, yeah.
He is abandoned on a lot of sites. That's why I'm kind of like, I respect him, because when he's alone on a site, he does an admirable job. If he could just stop fucking throwing like 2 rounds a game, he would actually be really successful.
No, I'll give you the analogy, because he's certainly not a big fragger ever. He actually reminds me of when fucking Inters used to be on his whole thing was, I'm going to be the worst spot every map. But my job is just don't die. You don't, not to kill people. That's a different equation. It's just like hide, waste time, bait people out, make them waste utility. I actually think he does it because he also plays Bianca on Mirage, as you can imagine. He plays all the despicable spot shot Dead Fox.
I would say Natu is a much more explosive player than Inters from this tournament. I don't know if I always saw that.
His deal was good, obviously, yeah.
Yeah. I think Inters also stays alive a little. I think actually Inters, he prioritized staying alive to a fault. It was almost just like, you have to shoot at some point. You have to kill them. You can't just buy time for Axel and Shiro every round.
Is this the poly market part or the ugly part?
No, that was I led it into the ugly. That was my
transition.
Because I actually think Twist is like remarkably serviceable as an IGL.
Yeah, definitely.
He's really improved a lot as an IGL.
Yep.
He still does call around himself quite a bit.
Sure.
But at the same time, like, I know Maui used the stat T versus CT win rates. They have like the best in the pro scene right now. It is like insane how much, like, Vitality is at like 9%, Navi's at 9%. This is their CT sides ahead of their T sides because it's CT sided meta right now.
Yeah.
FaZe at 4, like before their last series, they were at 4. It's much lower. And they were at 7.5 with Kerrigan, something like that. It's much lower than it was before. That's not the end all be all stat, but it means their T sides aren't shit. And that speaks to something I think Twist has improved as an IGL. Because I think on Liquid he was...
Also, I'll give him credit, right? Here's the difference. xertioN MOUZ does like get the gun, get the position. He's just the god emperor boy. He's living the dream. Twist actually does even do like respectable stuff, like give the AK to like Frozen or some other player, and actually not always... Like, he definitely calls around his players though, but that's just because that's his way to read the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just bringing up the stat, I feel like a lot of people kind of wonder what even is that stat, like CT versus T. It's just something that I've considered before for like, I think CT side is a little bit more individually focused. I think it's more on just a guy to hold a bomb site sometimes. Yes, teams are synergistic or they do run certain styles on their CT side, but I look at that because I think if you have a crazy differential where it's just the T side is way better than the CT, that's probably an IGL doing something there. That's why JT, I think, was also... I hyped him up last year because the Complexity / Passion UA or whatever teams had weirdly good T sides, and then you looked and their CT sides were pretty bad on a lot of maps, and they even played a couple of the maps that you would say are very CT favorite, like Overpass, for example. So that I always found extremely impressive.
By the way, even though it's just a minor grievance, that's also why I'm glad they're not on Passion UA anymore. It was the moment in the scene when Passion UA was Complexity from NA, and then Fnatic was like a fucking Passion UA or something.
Yeah, that was.
What are we even doing? This is just crazy. Change the branding or something. It doesn't even make sense. Luckily, that's gone though. That's over now. We don't have to worry about it.
I know we didn't bring him up. I do think it would be kind of interesting to just throw a little shout out to Liquid on this, because we probably would have included him in like a 9-point show or whatever.
Sure.
I'm excited about the Liquid future.
Yeah.
I think top 15 is a minimum for them in the next few
You know
months.
when people do that thing where they're like, you're just pushing narratives, bro, that narrative in the anime of like the Elige whisper, it's true, it's real.
Yeah.
He actually did come and he's magically fucking, Elige's good again. The dream. The dream.
Let me bring up a Reddit comment.
Come on.
Now.
Okay.
Someone deep in a Reddit thread. I'm in the trenches.
Through the downvotes.
Where's this going?
You had to open multiple comment chains to find this.
I'm in the trenches here. He pointed out Ultimate in his first month on Liquid had a 1.15, I think, or like 1.12 in his first. I remember in his first 2 events.
His first event was bad. His next event was Cologne play-in.
Yeah,
and then it was like the actual main event at Cologne, and I think he did serviceably well when they lost.
Okay.
So his stats were about what we see on Jorko.
Oh, right.
And a month later, everyone realized he's a.
Oh, so that's the question mark for you: is Jorko actually good?
I actually think he's good.
That's not a bad comment, because I've always thought aggressive oppers always do well for the first 1 to 2 months, as teams don't know their style yet as they get into tier 1. But I think that benefited people like Torzi. I think that benefited people like Molodoy a lot. I think it benefited who else lately? Ultimate was aggressive. He was like a kind of a one-trick aggressive player. Jorko, to me, isn't forcing the issue. He's not super aggressive. In fact, Elige is, I got to look at the attempt numbers and stuff like that, but it's Elige is taking so many of the entry duels, and Jorko is filling behind. I have more faith in an opera that can fill behind, hit the consistent shots and everything. And I mean, I've talked about his aim style too, and I just think he's not just flicking at the first thing on his screen. Like sometimes Ultimate he just sees a little pixel moving and he tries to hit this ridiculous flick, which is actually why the eye test on Ultimate at times was absurd. It was so crazy, but he had no discretion on when he fired. It was just like, it's just reacting to anything going on. It's like a cat, with a laser on the ground or something. It's gonna attack it.
Even though obviously we're going in tangents here, I also hate the scene so much. You know when they cut Ultimate, and then he had that one good game in the ENC right? And everyone was like, your time on Liquid doesn't count. It's like, that was against Czechsno's Team Czechia. Like, if he was playing them every tournament, maybe he would pop up. By the way, does anyone listening, even from Czechia, even know the 5 players on Team
There's like
Czechia?
no PR, then who's left?
I know, it's outrageous, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. Like, who even is it? He's not even playing, he's on MOUZ. It's just nobody's. By the way, that's almost like my favourite one. They don't do it that much now because he's good. Anytime Zemu ever had a bad tournament, it's Rio on Reddit. Some Zemu fan would just post the next day like, yeah, but look at this basic Pog where he dropped 45 kills. It's like, what does that got to do with anything? They're just reaching for straws now, bro. That's crazy. Okay, I'll tell you what though, we're going to do a fan topic now because we launched LFN Premium. So if you sign up to LFN Premium at Last Free Nation, it costs $9 a month, but you can also get it like, you get the whole year, you get it for $90, so you make it go down to $7.50. One of the things you can do on this show is you could actually suggest a topic and we'll read out your name, do it via a Discord once you've signed up. By the way, when you sign up also, you can pick your favorite show, and if you pick Snake and Banter, then me and Maui actually get a percentage of your subscription for that. And what we'll do also, as well as a topic each week, assuming people submit them, is if you submit to the Discord, there's also a question and answer part where if you put that the show is Snake and Banter in this case and put a question, we're going to at the end of this episode do an exclusive Q&A, like 10-15 minutes, where Vu will join us and do some question answer just from fans, and that will be behind the paywall for people who are actually subscribers. And if you're a subscriber in your like podcast platforms, you get every LFN show without ads, and it's on those platforms. It'll just still go to your devices, etc. So here is the topic that I have chosen for this one, because if I go into the topics, let's see. Oh, here's a good one. Actually, we'll do this one. Skeletal System says, In League of Legends, scrims and scrim results are often a big topic of communication. As an aside, I'll tell you what he means by that. Actually, G2, the best European team in League of Legends, their general manager, after each split playoffs, actually, and big tournament, releases the record of their scrims, believe it or not. He says who they scrimmed, like if they split for all the regional teams, and even when they go to like the big international tournament, it shows like, did they play T1 with Faker? And he actually just tells you the result, because he's like one of these guys who wants to be like transparent. So he's meaning that, like you actually get the info of like, oh, actually they won, but they were losing this team in scrims, or I guess they're good like on stage, you know. So then he says, I don't hear nearly as much about them in CS. What do you think are the reasons behind the disparity? Like, why in CS do we don't hear about scrim results? Like we have, I'm assuming better be like Vitality practices Falcons and stuff. But we never know who wins. We don't know who's better or who's scrim demons, right?
So one funny thing. So I don't think this is something. Listen, I'm going to refer to your guidance. All right, cut this out if this is something I should be legal.
Okay.
But I was talking to Flames, and I was like, "You guys just fucking destroy everyone in scrims." And he was saying, "Actually, no. We like scrims are a nightmare for us because everyone plays like it's the major final. Like we can't get good practice because these teams are going so hard against us. It feels like we want to practice things and they'll just be countering. Like, well, you run like 7 B hits in a game because you want to, test your B hit out. And these teams will just hard counter whatever they think we're doing because they feel like they need to win. I feel like CS just kind of seems to realize there was a time though. I remember I Buy Power before they got banned. There was going into the major right before they got banned. There was a lot of talk. They're destroying everyone in scrims. They're amazing in scrims. And then they just they just bombed out. Like
group stage,
I think CS seems to realize that scrims don't really matter.
Okay.
That's my opinion too. Because also a lot of teams are using scrims to try new strategies out.
Yes.
A lot of teams also want to play against tier 2, tier 3 competition just to see, okay, we have 4 new strats. We are going to run these strats. We don't know if they're really good in live environments yet. And that's why actually occasionally when I was competing in tier 2 NA, I would play against like the MIBRs or EGs of the world because they're just looking for something to just test something against, really, to see how it works against anybody with just a pulse practically. So yeah, I don't think it's really as big of a deal for them. Also, I think that the CS does a great job of separating what happens in an arena or a LAN environment versus the online play in terms of just mentality, because that's why you see the sinners of the world that are just farming in like online qualifiers all the time. But once they get to a LAN, they actually just literally there's puddles of piss beneath their chairs after the first stage of the major. It's just ridiculous.
Oh, I see where he's got. I thought you meant the LAN was so, but he actually means they piss themselves.
No, they piss themselves at the major.
I like that. I like that.
Cologne, they were terrible. They were horrible. They choked every game they played. They were just they did not even look remotely close to what you would expect otherwise. So yeah, no, I think that's the problem. I think like with a game that actually is a little bit less mechanics intensive, like League, a little bit more just about macro, being on the same page, teamwork, spacing, timing your your abilities to sequence very well. It's a lot less about like there is pressure there, but in a kind of an ego shooter like Counter-Strike, if you can hold your nerve, that's way more important in a LAN, let alone a playoff environment than a scrim where Nico is just waking up for the day.
I have an obvious angle, which is in League, I actually think the reason that guy also released that, not only because it's like cool content you don't normally get, but also, first of all, it's only them that do that. Like, I don't think any other team does it. So I think he's also doing that, because if you don't know, they basically win the European League of Legends tournament every single season for like 5 years or something. So in a weird way, like, I'll give you the obvious example. If Vitality, when they were in their era, decided we'll release the scrim date, then it might encourage other people to do it. It might make people care more about it. The problem is, one, you don't reveal it now because you actually might even get kicked out of scrims if you do that. If you just keep, like, imagine if you were, I'll pick some random, like, Focus, and you were like, we just won 3 scrims against Vitality. They're probably just going to be like, don't scrim then. They're just going to fucking tell the world. And that's not a real tournament, is it? And also, like you were saying, I actually think CS, by the way, I don't know in League, to be fair, what the scrims are like. I've obviously never seen this out, but I know from Counter-Strike, that's one of the worst things if you sometimes have to practice the online random team that doesn't go to LANs. They do play like it's a playoff match. You got to win this to prove we're good. Meanwhile, as your Vitality, like, we were just running like, B-pops and stuff like, we weren't even doing it. We were just actually prepping, we were trying to execute and get the times. We're not trying to like, a quick mid-round to the shorties move like them, but that's how they're playing.
Gosh,
overhyping.
I remember legitimately, I think, was it I think it might have been Fury when they first were coming to North America. We scrimmed them one time, and it was just this layered flash thing they were doing on outside yard nuke over and over and over and over again. Like, it was just kind of the same repeated play for maybe 7 of the T rounds. And it was almost just like, okay, we're learning how to play against this as the scrim evolves too.
And I've got one other angle, which is this. In League, if, for example, if you play in Europe and you're not a team that goes to the international, you actually only play 3 seasons. You play like 3 regular seasons, 3 players. That's it. So I also think people just want to know more about what will the teams be like. In CS, you play a team like every month, like, or you're at every LAN. You just don't need that information. You've got so much CS to watch. Who even watches all the CS? There's only nerds like us, really. So I also just don't think people care. And lastly, let's be real. I don't know in League if they really think this way, but I can tell you in CS, top players and teams also just don't think scrims matter that much. They do think it's just prep. Like, they're not bragging like that. You notice, you've never heard that as trash talk, have you? Like, oh yeah, you might have beaten us now, but we were beating that ass in scrims. Like, you just sound like whack if you say that. No one would ever even shit talk like that, would they?
I think the trash talk is like, you care about scrims.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. If anything, it'd be like, you're a tryhard, isn't it? Yeah.
By the way, the Flames thing I was talking about is from like last season during their like most dominant period.
Yeah.
Like, when they're destroying everyone. I'm like, you must just be destroying everyone in scrims. No, they're a nightmare. Scrims are a nightmare. We can't even practice.
Also, you say that like, you take it off. That's on fire. We weren't there, so we're not training. We're keeping that in. That was great. That whole story. Now we're getting destroyed in scrims. Also, by the way, that makes the point for you. If that's the greatest team of all time, who, by the way, couldn't like lose a match, it felt like, and they're just losing scrims to randoms. Yeah, look, case closed. By the way, they have Zebu and Rops and all them. Like, case closed. It's over. Right, now we will do that. By the way, that will be the end of the show if you are watching on YouTube. But if you did subscribe to Last V Nation, obviously Snake and Banter is the show, you will now get to enjoy the exclusive Q&A. So we're going to ask questions from the Discord.